Welcome back to Locker Room Dads, hosted by myself, Pat O'Donnell, Green Bay Packers punter, and co-host Josh Brinzo, brewery owner. Today's guest is not a professional athlete, but he is a TikToker and social media sensation. To all the tired dads out there, he is the reason why he represents you. Really excited to hear the words of wisdom that this guy is going to pour out on Locker Room Dads today. Without further introduction, please welcome Jon to the show.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me.
For sure, man. What's going on? I know my boy Josh right now is over at Epcot celebrating his birthday right now, just dadding out. Where are we finding you right now?
I'm at home. It's Saturday morning. My wife's in the backyard with the kids. They are loud and they are off and running.
I love it
today. Enjoy.
I'm at the in-laws right now, so they actually went to the park to give me like an hour of freedom.
For sure.
But before we jump into dadhood, let's talk about how you actually got into the social media world and how you got into your TikTok and your Instagram and all the funny videos that you do. Is that just something that you were always interested in, or did it just kind of flow as you became a dad?
Yeah, I've always been on social media, never like I am now. But, with the whole 2020 thing, we were at home. My wife got a TikTok, was doing these weird dance videos that I thought were super lame, and I was never going to get on that app. No way. But, I did. And I just thought, well, I'm not dancing, but I'll just kind of document my dadhood. We just had our son, who was only a few months old. So, I was definitely a tired dad back then because he was not sleeping through the night at all. So I just started making funny videos and it just kind of took off from there. And it wasn't until recently, like this year, that I really, said, okay, this tired dad thing is resonating with a lot of dads out there. I think a lot of dads out there kind of feel like they're viewed a certain way, right? You kind of like dad doesn't know what to do. Dad doesn't know how to take care of the kids. Dad's not really tired because he's just kind of just moseying on. It's more the
He's
mom
there, existing.
that is the involved one. So I just kind of want to give a voice to those dads that there's dads out there that are working hard at raising families. So.
No, I love that. That's awesome, man. So you have a girl and a boy, right? So your girl is your oldest, based on my social media stalking. How old are those two?
My daughter is 5.5 and my son is 2.5. So they're pretty much exactly 3 years apart.
Okay. That's a good age gap. Me and Josh is actually my neighbor down there in Jupiter, Florida, for my off season. So we got pretty friendly during 2020, and Josh does a lot of different things like for work, but he's super into this podcast. I'm super happy that he's actually in the same phase of life that I'm in. I have an 18-month-old, and I'm about to have another one in August. So right in the middle of training camp, and Josh is not too far behind me. You're due what, in October, Josh? November? Yeah, we ran into that. I think when I hit 30, man, I don't know if it was the kid or what, but you don't really find like a lot of people that are in your space, like being a dad. Like it's really hard. Like you go to a park and you see like dads, you kind of do like that Jeep wave kind of thing. Like, hey man, how's it going? It's like you don't really like talk. I don't know. And then once you actually connect with a family, that's pretty much your lifeline. I think. You know what I mean? It is super awkward to make friends in your 30s.
Yeah, for sure. I hate those parks, man. It's just an awkward situation at those parks, Especially like for me, it's funny because I'll take my kids to the park like on a weekday in the middle of the day because me and my wife kind of switch schedules. I work early, whatever, and so sometimes during the day. And where I am, at least, it's all moms there, right? So I walk in with my kids, and I'm a dad, and I'm sure they're not thinking that I'm weird or anything, but it's just kind of like this, like, oh, just
No,
awkward. But
I get that. I get that.
oh no, I have to talk differently. Yeah, for
And
sure.
then you feel super creepy though, also with the wives all there, and then like if you're my daughter ran up to another daughter. It's Titletown Park across from Lambeau, and it's like the best park in Green Bay. And I had like 2 hours to kill with her, and then she randomly walks up to this woman, and she was kind of like startled a little bit. She like didn't like want to make eye contact with me, and I'm like, "Listen, I'm not like a super creeper out here. Like I'm not trying to abduct children. Like this is my daughter."
I try
Like,
to
but
I try to bring up my wife as soon as possible in the
you
conversation.
try to like
Like,
flat.
oh, my wife, my wife. Yeah.
But I feel like those are the things that they don't prep you for, like as a dad. I mean, my next question leading into it was: did you always know that you were going to be a dad, or did you kind of like how was your I guess transition? So I'm assuming you guys got married and everything, and you got into discussion of like how many kids do you want? Do you want to start trying, or did it just like happen for you guys?
No, it was definitely planned. I think right when we got married, we knew that we wanted to be parents. Even before we got married, it was definitely a plan. I've always wanted to be a dad. Like even as a kid, I always wanted to just be a dad. I mean, I just thought it was so cool to, you know, raise a human being, and you learn a lot of stuff from your parents, good and bad sometimes, and you want to either change that, like break those molds, or you want to continue on like with the good things that you were taught. So I'm super blessed to have a daughter and a son. My daughter, I will say, it's just there's something about daughters that it's crazy. For me, that really changed me. Having my daughter first really like opened my eyes to a lot. And like you were saying, no one teaches you about this stuff. They kind of say things. They go, "Oh, just wait," or
Yeah,
they kind of like say these like foreshadowing comments, and you're like, "What the hell does that mean?" And the reason they don't explain it is because you can't really explain it. You have to experience it. So yeah, it's been awesome, and I learn things constantly about myself, and that's kind of what I want to portray in my social media. Like people are like, how do you get ideas for this? I'm like, I'm just documenting my thoughts. Like I'm not
yeah,
really like this is just as real as can be. I'm going through stuff, and hopefully bringing up topics and conversations that aren't really talked about, so people don't feel like they're alone. You know, in this.
for sure. No, I think it's really helpful. Like when I came across you on social, I was like, dude, this guy has it. Like you're capturing an audience that needs this. You know what I mean? There's so many mom like Instagram accounts and TikTok pages and whatnot. And my wife, I mean, she shows me different things, but like there are a very limited amount of dads out there kind of like just talking amongst each other and kind of like using each other as a resource. So I think it's awesome what you're doing.
Yeah, appreciate that.
So you having a girl and a boy. Like I have just a daughter, and I think we all started out like this. We both all had daughters. What is it like having the son? Is it awesome to have the different needs of each child, or is one easier than the other? Because everyone goes like, oh, girls are easy until they hit like puberty and they start going through all like the drama and the hormones and everything like that. Or is your son like the opposite? Is he super needy? Is he just bouncing off the walls and needs constant attention? Like, what is the dynamic like in the house?
Um, the current dynamic right now is they're both super hard. Me and my wife will look at each other some days and be like, "We are in the thick of this." My daughter was a very easy baby. She slept through the night at like 6 weeks. Um, I also think it was just because we could just focus on her. She was the only child at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But she was a lot less needy, easier baby. She's become, once she hit 3, she's been pretty difficult. Lot of emotions, lot of emotions. My son was not a great baby. Like, he was a good baby, but he didn't sleep through the night for like a year. And he's pretty needy. Like, he loves his mom, and he's very needy for his mom. And then now we're dealing with the dynamic of my daughter wanting attention, and maybe he's getting a little more attention, and she gets jealous, and
Yeah, I could see that.
a lot of outbursts and emotions. So it's they both are, they're just different, you know. They're both, sometimes one is easier in that area and harder in that area. But with my daughter being older, a lot of emotions. She's, people tell me, oh, it's because she's smart or this or that, but I'm like, it's hard. It's hard. Um, so yeah, they're both difficult, just difficult in different
Different
ways.
ways. Now, does she go to school
Yeah.
yet? Is she in any type of schooling? Because we're kind of crossing that bridge now of what's going to happen leading up to like training camp for me, just to give my wife a break before the next baby comes. Because some people do it differently. Like, no, they're not going to school yet, or like get them out of the house as soon as they possibly can.
So she starts kindergarten in August. Um, and they were going to like what they call around here a Mother's Day out, which is like 2 days a week. So it's kind of like a preschool
Nice,
thing.
nice.
So my son will continue to do that too. They go by the same schedule as the school district, but it's only 2 days a week. So they will both 2 days a week. They'll both be gone out of the house, which is great because I can work from home a little more. But I got a bunch of mixed emotions to my daughter starting kindergarten because they go for a long time. Like, they go all day. And I don't know about you, but when I grew up in kindergarten, I only went half a day. But it's like a full day, which I think will be good for her. She's very social. She loves to learn. She's very creative. But at the same time, I'm like, damn, they say it goes fast, and it does. And I can't believe that she'll be 6 in November and starting kindergarten. And I'm like, I mean, I remember kindergarten, and this is just a weird circle of life type deal that I'm feeling. So it's kind of like you're sad, and you're like, wow, she's growing up, but then you're also like, but this is good. Like, this will be a good break for me. This will be probably good for her, socializing. But we're just gonna see how it goes, and that's all we can do. We're kind of in uncharted territory with that, but yeah.
Josh, I don't know if you saw his page of when you made it of his daughter being born, and then he said like they say don't blink. And then, dude, you like literally had me. It was like a moment. I was like, "Damn, you're actually capturing all the feelings right now."
Yeah.
I know, because I can't even imagine like her being 6, my daughter Palmer. Like, that's going to be insane. As soon as you blink, it's going to be like over. Um,
Yeah, and I was fortunate enough, like, I spent a lot of time with her. I do spend a lot of time with my kids, and going through those, like, making those videos and going through the old footage and stuff and the old pictures, you're like, damn, like, it it's crazy, a lot of emotions, but it's good because I'll be able to now. I got that one-on-one time with her because we didn't have my son, and now my son is kind of at that same age where I got a bunch of time with her, so now I get like it with him. So that's like the good thing about it is because I want to experience that with him too.
for sure. Is he in any kind of sports or anything yet? Is he doing anything social?
My
Yeah, your
son,
son.
he's not in competitive sports yet because I too young. I don't want to deal with that yet. But he well, he was doing skateboarding a lot.
Nice.
He loves to skateboard. I got him on a board like when he was like 20 months old, and he's loved it. He's getting a little bit older, so he's getting to where he knows that it's dangerous. So getting a little more cautious. But we just recently found out he loves soccer. He loves to like kick around the soccer ball. And unfortunately for me, soccer is probably my least favorite sport. But if he's in it and he's good at it, okay, and it's probably the sport that I know the least about too. But he can he has like a little bit of a ball control already. So I wouldn't get him into competitive sports probably until he's 4, 5 maybe, because it's just
No, I
crazy.
can only imagine. No, I'm sure you're gonna have a lot of stories like on the sideline. Like you're gonna be the dad handing out the orange slices too. Like I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna coach your kids. Or
For sure. But I with my kids, it's if they show interest in anything, I don't care what it is. Like my daughter's definitely the more creative type. She will draw for hours, color. She has a talent. I mean, she loves to like act out and do plays. So we got her into like a little theater class, and I think she's naturally athletic, but I don't know if she's going to be in the sports. So it just kind of, you want to feel it out. You kind of like will stuff selfishly that you want as a parent, maybe show them that. But if they don't like it, I'm not going to force my kid to do anything they don't want to do. So you just kind of like let them go, and you go, okay, um, whatever they'd like to do, I will fully support that. But I know that when they do get old enough for sports, it is a lot of time. I mean, the soccer games, it's like you got school to contend with, and then on the weekends you got soccer games. It's like, oh, a Saturday soccer game at 3 p.m. Oh, that's great. So that day's just we're getting around for the soccer game and baseball. Baseball is crazy around here. It was crazy where I grew up, but geez, they like traveling at like 10 years old, and it's
it's a
just
lot.
year round. It's
It's
it's a
I
lot.
think dance is the equivalent of travel baseball for boys. I hear
Mm-hmm.
dance is
Mm-hmm.
insane. Like the outfits you have to do,
Mm-hmm.
they're going every which way for competitions. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, dance dads are different. I mean, that's a huge thing in Wisconsin, I think, because like it's cold as hell throughout the year, and like the girls are like always
Yeah.
inside or doing rehearsals. But yeah, I don't know if I'm looking forward to all the dance recitals yet,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. That's gonna be a whole another realm for sure.
definitely.
It's oof. Yeah.
I did want to touch on this point because we're about to go through it again in August. Did you have any crazy occurrences in the hospital? For the dads out there that are like expecting, did you have any funny moments or moments that you think dad should be prepared for? I know we always kind of go through, how they do that safety video. I don't know if you had any moments like that. If you came in the hospital with the car seat and you didn't even know how the hell to put the thing together and put it in the car, they like let you leave with the kid. I'm like, I don't even know how to put it in the car. I'm glad the child safely secured in this car seat.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So with our firstborn, with Asher, my son, it was a breed. Like we knew what we were doing and went through it. I was a little more confident. But yeah, with my daughter, that's a weird feeling when you leave that hospital, and you kind of don't want to leave the hospital. You kind of, because the nurses are so great, they're there, they're explaining everything, um, and then you leave, and that first night at home, you're like, oh, there's like a panic that sets in, and your wife is all over the place with hormones, and she just birthed this human being out of her body, so. And then the baby's crying, and there's just it's pretty intense. It does get better, obviously, but that's a weird feeling to be like, I'm in charge of this child. Like, what am I doing? But then you look back on like everybody has kids. A lot of people have kids, and if you know if they can do it, I can do it. So, but as far as the crazy stories, we didn't have like too. Fortunately, didn't have a crazy story, but when my daughter was born, we went in and figured out that my wife had to have a C-section, not like an emergency, but the baby wasn't dropping or whatever. So we decided to have a C-section, and it happened within like 4 hours of us getting there. So she was doing her whole thing in the middle of the night, and she's like, "I need to go to the hospital." Like, all right. So we went, and it was just like within 4 hours we have this baby. So that is really quick. As far as the C-sections go, they take her in there, they roll her in, and then they get her all situated, and then they call you out and for you to go in. Well, I was told not to look because I get pretty squeamish, like with blood and all that. So I'm a baby when it comes to that. So they're like, don't look. Well, if somebody tells you don't look, what are you gonna do? You're gonna look, right? So I rolled in there and looked, and I'm like, oh boy, that was wow, that's amazing, like crazy. Um, but I had to keep it cool because my wife's the one having the baby and getting her stomach cut open and all that out. So, I was good. I was trying to just be there for her, and she's awake. Like, they're awake the whole time, and all this stuff is going on. So, I just, was there to comfort her and, are you okay? And this and that. And then, they're doing their thing behind the curtain, and then it's pretty surreal when you hear, I don't know how your experience was, but when you hear them cry for the first time, like you always hear like that, but truly, like, my life was different once I heard her cry, like you just understood what people talked about. You're like, wow, like you immediately like have a purpose for life, like, like you had a purpose before, but this is like a whole new purpose. You're just like, whoa. And it's pretty cool, and the adrenaline's going, so you're just amped up about it. But yeah, not everything went pretty smoothly, for us, fortunately. But yeah, it's a crazy experience for sure.
Yeah, me and Josh talk about our experiences a little bit different because it was in 2020. So it was, during, coronavirus and all that good stuff. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, there is something to be said when your daughter or son cries for the first time. Like, is that animalistic quality, something happens. I don't know what it is, and it's hard to describe. But yet now you are in charge of not only your wife's life, but, your son or daughter. So super crazy. Josh, you got anything on that? Unless Josh isn't there anymore. Disney World. He's probably just out of his data minutes. But how is getting? I'm assuming your son isn't potty trained yet, but your daughter, like, how is that? Walk me through that. Is she potty trained? Are we not there yet? Any tips or tricks for dads out there that are kind of going through that?
Potty training is terrible. My daughter is potty trained now. It took her about 3 years. I think she was a little over 3. My son is not, so I'm still doing that. But I don't know if I have any tips or tricks. You just got to go through it, and you're gonna get accidents on the floor. It's the worst thing is these training potties that are just a plastic little bowl.
Okay.
Right, little thing. So they start using that, and then you gotta dump it and wash it out. It's disgusting, and yeah. You just gotta stay persistent with it. My son has no interest in sitting on the potty right now, which is discouraging because that means he's probably gonna take a little bit. But you just have to just do it. It's kind of like ripping the Band-Aid off.
For sure. What age did you guys start? Was it something you guys read in a book, like start at this age, or was it something like, okay, this needs to happen now? Like, I'm tired of, changing diaper.
Once she hit three, it was like, it needs to happen now.
Okay.
Because we were, my son was coming, and we didn't, that's a nice thing to not have to deal with when you have a new baby. So about 2.5, like we're trying with our son. We're not like all in on it yet. But we're like, he can kind of tell us when he is, but he's confused. Like he'll say he needs to poop, but he really needs to pee, So
He's getting there.
it's just like but I think once they can like fully communicate with you, that's when it needs to be like, all right, let's go. When they fully understand, like they need to go to the bathroom, that's when it's like, all right, we'll bring the training potty out and do this whole thing. And then, honestly, I think what we did was we just started putting underwear on her. So if they messed up, they had to deal with it without a diaper. And that sucks. Like, they'll do it in their, crib or. I think we did it only when she was awake at first. And then once she got better at being awake, we did it. But it's just kind of like, it's just one of those not fun things to do as a parent at all. And you do kind of want to like prolong it. Like you get kind of like, just let them wear a diaper still. Like this is easy, but you got to be persistent with it and like take them out in public with just underwear on and just hope for the best. And you're hoping that motivates them to tell you more. Like when you're in a public place and they only have underwear on, like, hey, I need to go to the bathroom. Like there's kind of like a sense of urgency. Hopefully, sometimes not. My daughter was pretty stubborn. She's stubborn in most things. So that was hopefully my son's not like that.
I know you just touched on taking the kids out in public in that one video where you're like, all right, let's all go out to dinner and like, what'd you say, like overspend, have tantrums.
Yeah,
It's tough, man. Like you want to do it, you want to get out. I know your wife needs it just as much as you do, but at the same time, it's not going to go smooth at all.
yeah. There's like that meme. It's like I might as well just like light $50 on fire and stay home or something like that. Like going out. But yeah, we just got back from a vacation, and that was interesting. They're just really hard right now, especially in public. A lot of tantrums and everything. We're going to Monster Jam here in Nashville tonight,
Nice.
which will be fun, but you gotta kind of lower the expectations, and we don't know. It's a toss up. I mean, we've gone out to dinner with them or lunch, and it's been a fun time, and it's been also miserable times to where we just bail, like just leave. On Father's Day, we went out to a Father's Day brunch at a place called First Watch. It's like a breakfast place, and it was awful. It was awful. That we just like hurry up and ate to-go boxes. Let's get out of here. It was just, but yeah, it's hard. I think the reason it's really hard is when your kid's acting out in public and there's other people around, there's a different kind of stress because you're like, you don't want to bother other people, and you kind of feel like insecure that your kid is absolutely psycho in front of other people and you're disturbing other people. So there's like that different kind of stress, and it just feels like, I think that your kids react to your stress as well. So if you're stressed out and you're like kind of, quick to react, and you're stressing them out more, so it's making it worse. Like we were in the grocery store one time and my daughter wanted something. I said no, freaked out. And then kind of, like no, and it just started elevating to where I had to just pick her up, and she's like kicking, and it was just a mess. So I think the hardest part is trying to stay calm and not like be super reactive in public, but it's hard. And so, unfortunately, sometimes you're just like, it's not worth it, it's not worth it. And the funny thing about vacations with kids is it's not a vacation, it's a trip,
For sure.
or you're just disciplining your kids in a different location. But, you try to create these memories for your kids in these good times, and sometimes it just gets ruined by how they are as kids. But that's just the way it
For
is.
sure.
you
Did
know.
you guys jump on an airplane or was this a driving trip?
Oh, driving.
Driving.
No.
Dude,
Oh,
I
an
just flew
airplane would
here
be rough right
to
now.
see the in-laws in Pennsylvania before we head down to Florida for a little time off.
Yeah.
I was so, like, you talking about insecure when we first had the kid, and she was I don't know, probably 8 months, 9 months, and she, crying, the elevation, the ears, and I was so freaked out that everyone was staring at me like I was that guy on the airplane that could not like get his kid to quiet down, whatever. And then now this trip, she's a little bit older, and then she's kind of starting to kick the seat in front of her, and she's trying to take a nap, and she's squirming. And I kind of like have gotten to the point where the crying almost doesn't bother me anymore. Like it's almost like white noise. But I think
Hmm.
every dad on the airplane's like, I kind of feel for you. You know what I mean? For all those
Yeah.
dad,
Well, you would hope that they would think
yeah,
that.
yeah. But you always have like that one guy that's always kind of like a dick about anything. He just like turns around, like shoots you glances, like control your kid. And I'm like, dude, you definitely don't have fucking kids. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you do not
And
have.
that's when people act like that, then I don't
Right.
care. Then I'm like, okay, if you don't have any empathy for me right now, forget you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying my best here.
For sure, dude. We just flew Delta, and like the flight attendants couldn't be nicer. And she wasn't causing a huge scene or anything, but they're like, "Can we get you anything like this and that?" And I think hopefully they purposely said to lower the shade down because she was trying to sleep, and everyone had their shades open. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's interesting, man. Traveling with kids, it's a trip, like you said. It's not like a vacation. A vacation is probably like if your mother-in-law takes the kids and you go with your wife somewhere. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, for sure. If you can bring help, definitely do that because when it's just the four of us, there's no date nights. There's no. It's hard to get the kids to bed. Depending on like the place, sometimes the places are smaller, like an Airbnb, so they stay up later, and you don't have a lot of like time for just you and your wife or your partner, and so it can just be stressful, as a trip. But and then you want to like kind of explore, like we try to explore a little, and they're just, I'm hungry, I want a snack, I'm thirsty, they always want something. They're just trying to ruin your time, basically. They're not really hungry. They're just trying to. They know you want to do something for yourself, so they're gonna try to ruin
yeah.
that. That's what I think their mentality is. It feels like it,
They have like an internal
but
clock of like when they know it's like dad or mom time, and then they have to try to ruin it. No,
yeah,
but you touched on going out with your wife and things like that, and it's super important. The older guys in the locker room told me to carve out like a night, with your spouse or significant other to do that. Hire a babysitter, get the mother-in-law, do whatever, and like just take her out. That's something
yeah,
I'm trying to do and make a point to do. And it's really hard because I'm like, oh, let's just, we'll take in, and my wife's super cool like that. She'll be able to, say take in food. But I think it is important to like go out and, take your wife out a little bit. But what,
yeah. It's very important. You guys need that
for
break
sure.
for sure.
Do you guys have a special place in Nashville? Are you in Nashville or just outside Nashville?
I'm just
Okay.
outside of Nashville. I'm like 30-40 minutes south of
Oh, okay.
Nashville.
Okay. So never mind.
Yeah.
I'm a little familiar with Nashville, but probably not on the outskirts there.
Yeah, I mean, I've been here 10 years now. I'm originally from Southern California, and I've been here 10 years, and the amount of change this city has gone through just in the past 5 years is I've never seen a change in a city like that. Like LA's always been kind of LA, and San Diego, and like all the cities I grew up in kind of always been the same, crowded, you know. But this went from like not crowded to crazy crowded, like Vegas crowded, and I'm like, so I don't do well with like crowds, and I just my wife likes to go out for girls' night and stuff like that, but I'm not a big, like, I don't like that,
The
like
scene, yeah.
a bunch of crowds and chaos. Some people like Vegas and stuff. I don't really like that environment. Um, so we don't go out to Nashville like together a lot. Sometimes we'll go out to dinner because all the like really good restaurants. There's more happening here now around us, but because it's growing too. but what, for a really nice dinner, we'll usually go down to Nashville just for dinner and stuff. But it's crazy, like to try to find parking, and parking's super expensive. I'm like, this is starting to feel like LA. It's not LA. It's far from
No, I know
LA,
what you're
but
saying though.
it's just
Yeah.
crowded. And I mean, the skyline has changed dramatically. I remember driving in, you kind of like where we are, you're kind of driving down the freeway and you see the skyline, you see what they call the Batman building. And you used to just see, like, I don't know, 6, 8 kind of skyscraper things. And now you go and there's just like, it's an actual skyline. It's like a whole different city. Hotels have gone up. I'm like, where the hell did that
Yeah.
hotel come from? What is that? Like, what is this? And it's just like, these multi-million-dollar condos now that just freaking go up into the clouds. It's just crazy. And you see, like, it's getting to where the people are different, and it's kind of, it's feeling different. So yeah, it's crazy, but we're in a great area, like where we live, where it's kind of like a small town. It's not a small town anymore, but it's
It's
really
got that
nice.
feel to it though, still. Small town living versus being like in the heart of Nashville and Brentwood or Franklin or something. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like no, you don't feel like you're in a city. You still get like where you're driving and you can see like farms and
Yeah.
cows and stuff. The sunsets are incredible. So I still like, the reason why I moved here away from California. It's still here, and I've never been like one to go downtown or in the city. Like, I grew up just south of LA, and I never went there like a bunch. It's just, I don't like that chaos. It gives me
Dude,
anxiety.
that's the
But
last thing you need with kids too. Like sitting in
yeah,
like
exactly.
traffic alone with kids is a nightmare.
Oh,
And I just
the traffic has gotten really bad, like even by us, because you get these roads that were supporting so many people, and you have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people moving here, that it's just boom. You actually, like, now I'm to the point where I won't leave the house at a certain time because it's rush hour. We never used to have a
dude,
rush hour,
you're a
and now
dad
we have a rush
now.
hour.
Like you don't leave the house like at
Yeah.
a certain
Oh
time.
yeah.
The traffic. The
Oh, I'm old dad
traffic.
for sure. The traffic is terrible. Yeah, totally. I'll say things that, like, my dad used to say, that I used to annoy me as a kid, and I'll say them and be like, "Oh wow, I'm at this point in my life. I'm saying stuff," and my wife will point out the things that I say that, like, you sound like your dad, or you sound like a dad, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's so dad of you. And I'm like, I know it's happening. I'm trying to fight it, but it just happens
Dude,
naturally.
you're embracing
You
it.
know?
You got all these social media
Yeah.
channels focused on that. You're a dad through and through, man.
Yep. It's a natural occurrence.
Um, so a couple questions left. I want to touch on the hobby stuff, like being a dad. Like, do you have any hobbies? I know a lot of dads like to golf and things like that, but if I'm like going out with the guys, I like to carve out the 4 hours that I won't feel guilty for. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I do because
Mhm.
I'm kind of away a lot when I travel and this and that. And off season, I like to hang out with them as much as I can. And everyone's like, "Oh, dude, come play golf, this and that." I'm like, "You clearly don't have kids, or you're not married yet. You don't understand." But when
Yeah.
you are out there, you do sometimes feel guilty. Like it's 4 hours. You're like, "Oh man, like how's my wife doing with the kids right now?" Like unless you have help.
Totally.
I didn't know if
Mhm.
you had any hobbies that you have like to yourself or encourage hobbies for dads out there because everyone needs like their hour of a workout time or a lot of people do like meditation or reading or whatnot. I didn't know what you do specifically for yourself.
Yeah, I used to golf a lot, in my youth, but I know a lot of golfers, and they'll invite me out, but like you said, it's like, oh, you want to go out on Saturday like all day? I'm like, no, like there's no way I could do that. Like, maybe 9 holes or something, but I also don't really enjoy golf that much anymore. I played it so much when I was younger that, it just, if you don't practice golf a lot and you just kind of suck
Yeah.
at your game, and that's not fun to me when I like play bad or stuff. So it's not like I'll go golf every once in a while, but it's not. I wouldn't say that's my hobby. I really don't have a hobby that I set out to do. I do like to. Me and my wife need to get better at our hobbies for sure. We've been so focused on parenting that she likes to go out with her friends and stuff, and it just you just make excuses like, oh, I don't have to do that tonight or something. But it's important. Like, you should definitely have a hobby. Um, Try to like let her go out. I mean, she'll go out and go shopping, or you know get her nails done or something like that. Little things like that. I'll try to go out with some friends. You know, but like just like little trips too. Like, you should go out with your girls, like on a trip for the weekend. Me with the guys, and just around here we can go to the lake and like fish and stuff
Yep.
like that. We just haven't been good at it, so it's important to have a hobby, whatever that is. I mean, everybody thinks a hobby is like you have to play a sport or something. A hobby, like you said, could be reading a book. I like to go to coffee shops by myself. On Father's Day, I said the one thing I want is just to go to a coffee shop by myself for like 2 hours and just kind of, zone out, kind of just think and whatever. So I like to do stuff like that. But yeah, parenting is stressful. It can really attack your mental health for sure, and I've seen that firsthand. It affect mine, and that's why it's so important, because you do feel guilty, and I totally have guilt. And just what you said, like, I went golfing with my father-in-law like a couple weeks ago because he likes to golf with me, and I felt guilty. It was with my
Right.
father-in-law, and like my wife back home, and it was fine, but I still like felt like, because you're so used to the structure, that you step out of it, you're like, I should be doing something else. um but yeah, it's important for sure, because the better your mental health is, the better you can reset yourself, the better parent
For
you can
sure.
be. And if you keep going, then you're not doing your kids any favors by being so stressed out and struggling. So you both need that reset. So date nights are important together, but also time alone, like with other people too. Like you said, hobbies and stuff is just as important as
Yeah,
that
no
too.
doubt, man. That's well said. We haven't heard anyone talk, through that before. That's awesome. That's good stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and then the last question I like to end on, a fun little question: is there any Disney movies right now that the kids like go bonkers over? It could be a show on Netflix. Is it something that you're waiting to like pull out? I don't know if they're old enough for all the movies that you want to show them yet. But your daughter's old enough. She's probably seen every Disney movie in the book right now. I didn't know if she was like super into Lion King or Toy Story, or what Ariel, Hercules.
Yeah, she's she's been on Minnie Mouse since she was 2 years old, and she still loves Minnie Mouse. Like, she loves it. Like, we've been to Disneyland a few times, not Disney World. We're not ready to do that yet.
I know we lost Josh, and so
Josh is braver than
yeah,
I am. I'm not ready to do that. I think he's there for his birthday. That sounds interesting, but we're not ready for that yet. We want to do that when they're old enough to kind of remember and behave better. But we've been to Disneyland a few times, and it's awesome. But she still dresses up as Minnie, still watches Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and all that. As far as movies, she loves Frozen.
yes, yeah,
Any princess movie. Encanto is a big one right now. She's into these crybabies things. They're like little dolls. They're called crybabies, and they have a show, and she's obsessed with these things. She wants me to buy her a crybaby every day. She already has 15. I'm like, no more. So
15.
they get into these weird things. I don't know what is like appealing to them. I guess because it's like a really girly thing with like makeup and stuff. And my daughter loves to dress up. It's probably something like that. My son is really into monster trucks, excavators. Blippi is king around here. He loves Blippi. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a guy who started on like YouTube and now it's a show on Netflix and stuff. But it's very,
Can
it's
you
he
can
loves
you
those
tolerate it? Is
construction.
it a show that really I can actually watch this? Or you're like I cannot.
Man, I I tolerate it because they can sit there and watch it and be quiet. You know, like it's a good break. No, but it is a good break. I'm not like full on like unlimited screen time. Like we try to obviously screen time, but also one-on-one time and play outside. I'm not trying to create a zombie, like some people think, but I use screen time to give myself a break, and my wife does it to give herself a break and us a break, and yeah, they can watch. He will watch Blippi or excavators and construction stuff, monster trucks. Loves that kind of stuff. And then there's Coco Melon, which is just a bunch of nursery rhymes, like
It's
over
like
and over
cocaine for
again.
kids, though. Somehow.
And I mean, I'm immune to it. Like you said, you're immune to the crying. I'll have that thing like we'll put him to bed and freaking Coco Melon will still be on, and me and my wife will be having a conversation. I'll go, why the hell is this still on? Like we're just kind of immune to it, It's just kind of like part of our life. But also, it is annoying, but that annoyance causes my kids to not be annoying. So it's a balance.
Dude, life is a balance.
It's a balance. It is
Jeez.
a balance. But yeah, yeah, those shows, and unfortunately, when we're on a road trip, sometimes I have to play that freaking soundtrack. Like they have the Coco Melon soundtrack. You're playing Wheels on the Bus Go Round and Round
I didn't
and
understand.
all that stuff. But you know what? They're not crying.
Yeah.
They're not crying.
Dude, I never realized
Man.
like why dads and moms drank so much coffee. And I know you do so many memes on, and I like physically didn't understand it. Honestly, I drank pre-workout and stuff or whatever, like working
Yeah.
out and stuff. But now it's almost like it's something I enjoy. I don't know what it, but like road trips and things, it kind of gives me like, oh, how many times you stopping for coffee through. Like my wife is obsessed with coffee, and she got me into it. But now I really do understand why dads drink coffee.
So you started drinking coffee once you became a dad? You never drank it before?
Like I honestly didn't really like. I don't know. Maybe like in college, I wasn't like a guy that go to a coffee shop and like studied. But now I was like,
Yeah.
this is whatever C4. It was like the thing, in the locker room, and you take that before workouts, and you get like super jacked up. But now, like, I enjoy it. Like, I'm exploring the different coffees and lattes and
Oh
like,
yeah.
cold brew. Like, it's awesome. It's great. It's a dark rabbit hole for sure. And I feel like
Yeah.
I don't want to be
Yeah.
like super dependent on the coffee, but at this point, I'm just like, I just enjoy it. I tell myself I enjoy it.
Give it some time. You
Yeah.
will be.
I'm helping the world go around.
I mean, there's other worse things out there. Coffee, get good source coffee. You're good. But yeah, no, me and my wife are both like coffee connoisseurs now. Like we like to go to we call them hipster coffee
Yes.
shops. They have the best coffee. So try to avoid like Starbucks and stuff because honestly, it's just, I mean, it does the job, but it's not like gourmet or anything. You know, it's like Chick-fil-A will fill you up, but it's not the same as like a restaurant.
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, I love a good cappuccino, and if it's a good coffee shop, they do the cappuccinos right, and then my wife likes her drinks like kind of the iced coffee and stuff, and we just try to find like on the road and stuff. Instead of stopping at Starbucks, we try to look up like the most hipster looking coffee shop, like. I want it to take 10 minutes to make my drink.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's
Yeah.
good.
I'm like super into the hipster
You know?
coffee shops.
Yeah. And I like the environment in there. They play like their little hipster music. It's, everybody's in there kind of like creative and it's good vibes. Everybody's nice. So I also like to go and, like me and my wife will go on a day date to a coffee shop and stuff. And we actually met. Well, we didn't meet, but our first date was at a coffee shop. So it's kind of like that's how our relationship started. So it's kind of a cool thing that
And
we
it hasn't
have.
stopped. The pouring of the coffee probably hasn't stopped since you met.
I got this 20-ounce mug right here.
How many do you go through a day? I want
I
to
don't
know. I
even
want to
know how
know.
many
How
ounces
many
I
coffees
drink.
you go through a day?
What's a coffee? Like an 8 ounces?
Like, do
Is
you?
that considered like a coffee?
We'll do okay. Your 20-ounce mug. How many?
Mm-hmm.
How many?
I probably have 20 ounces of coffee a day.
20 ounces, just one.
Yeah, maybe
I cannot confirm or deny.
I mean, I don't like to think about ounces. I'm going like, dang, that's a lot of ounces. 24 ounces. But I would say I have 3 to 4 cups of coffee a day. As far as that, and
I'm not judging. I'm not
some days,
judging. I'm just maybe other
yeah,
dads out there are comparing. Like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I should. And
I'll make you feel good about yourself. I have 8 cups of coffee a day, and I'm alive. But no, I probably have on average 3 cups of coffee a day, whatever a cup is. But I do try to cut it off at like afternoon because it will affect like how I sleep and go to bed. So I do try to get it all in the morning and have it kind of last through. But also, too much coffee, it does make you tired. So it's kind of diminishing returns sometimes. I'll be like drinking a cup of coffee and after and I'm like, that was dumb. Like, why did you do that? My wife suggests that I have decaf, which is kind of a hack you can do. If you're used to that afternoon coffee, just get decaf. So, you can kind of get your fix, but it's not like wire you up at 3 p.m.
right, so you don't become a tired dad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't want to make yourself more tired. Like, what's the point of that?
Dude, this has been awesome. We do appreciate your time jumping on Locker Room Dads, but I do want to highlight where people could find you. Like, what are your social handles? Because I'm sure a lot of dads out there are looking for some good content.
Yeah, Instagram, The Tired Dad. TikTok, The Tired Dad. I have one video up on YouTube. It's Tired Dad is the channel, but I've wanted to do more of that, but I just haven't. But yeah, mostly Instagram, TikTok is where I'm at. The Tired Dad, and
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll be sure to tag you and everything on the social media channel so people can follow you. But Jon, appreciate it, man. Have a great summer. Hopefully we'll stay in touch. But for everyone out there listening, thanks for tuning into Locker Room Dads. We drop every Wednesday. Until then, Tired Dads, we're out. Locker Room Dads is powered by Mantra Labs. After my buddy Nick Foles, Super Bowl MVP, recommended this amazing new nutrition line to me, as a professional athlete, I had to listen to hear what he had to say. So let me tell you, Mantra Labs is an absolute game changer. For all you dads out there looking to have more energy, better hydration, and better sleep, look no further. Mantra Labs is the stop for you. So we've actually partnered with them and they provide 25% off everything on their site. So go visit them at gomantralabs.com. Enter Locker Room Dads with no space for 25% checkout